What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Wildcat Cave. Today we're going to break down the UK-Florida game. Before we get too far into it, go ahead and if you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button for all future breakdowns, vlogs, SEC content, UK content, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That way you know when all of those videos are coming out. And also, before we start breaking down, comment your prediction down below. The closest score will get a shout out in the next video I put out. It will probably be the one after the vlog this weekend. And of course, if you like this video, if you like these types of videos, go ahead and like and share the video as well. So let's go ahead and get into the video, guys. Alright, so we're going to start here with the Florida Gators. The first big test for the Gators, it is a true road game for them. The only time they have played away from the swamp is when they played South Florida, which of course is not really a hard test when you're an SEC program to go to a South Florida and try to get a win, which they obviously did. They haven't played in a hostile environment or a hostile crowd all season, and if there's one thing we know about crowds and environments like that, it's that if your quarterback isn't super accurate or super high level or elite, it can rattle them. Even the most mentally stable quarterbacks it can rattle. So I personally don't believe that Emory Jones or Richardson is that elite level quarterback. So there is a chance that when they come to Kentucky that the crowd could play a really big factor in this game. And I'm not saying those guys aren't mentally tough or whatever, but even the best quarterbacks it can affect, so I don't doubt that it will affect them, but the question is how will they respond in their first real road game of the season in the SEC. Up next is Florida is going to have to stop the run of Kentucky. Everybody knows Kentucky has a dominant top in the country O-line. They showed it last week. They showed it against Mizzou. They can and will push people off the ball. UK right now averages 5.2 yards per rush, which is extremely high. I don't know where that ranks nationally, but it is up there, believe me. So if Florida is going to want to win this game, they're going to have to be able to stop Chris Rodriguez and Cavassier Smoke. Kentucky, I'm sure, is going to look to run the ball and eat clock and don't let the game get out of hand. And I think they believe they can do it, and this is something Florida is going to have to stop. UK's O-line saw a solid pass rush last week with South Carolina. I think Florida is not as good of a pass rushing team, but they are probably a better run stopping team. So that's going to be a big key for them, is to keep the running backs in check for UK. Next is they have to get pressure on Will Levis. This is a tall task, again, because of UK's offensive line, but Levis has shown already that he can be interception prone if he is pressured. He likes to try to make hero plays sometimes when he shouldn't, and if you can get that pressure on him, he is more likely, obviously, to make that mistake. He has 5 interceptions on the season right now. Not all of them are his fault, really. A lot of the times the receivers tip the ball up when they should have caught it. But either way, pressure on Will Levis will be a key factor for the Gators. Next, they're going to want to be able to push the ball downfield in chunk yardage plays. It's not really a secret that UK is most vulnerable at cornerback and D-back. While they do have good talent there, there's not a lot of depth. Carrington Valentine, one of their corners, has been getting picked on quite a bit this season. And Florida does have talented receivers. They have that opportunity to really make the big chunk plays and get big yards at big times in the game if UK's asleep or the corners just aren't good enough to cover the receivers. If Florida can get, 3 or 4 big chunk plays like this, it definitely favors them and will help them win the game. And like I said, UK lacks depth at those positions. And finally, for Florida, they have to win the turnover battle. It's always important when you play on the road to have the turnover battle won, of course. It really neutralizes the crowd. It takes them out of it somewhat. And in a close game, typically the team winning the turnover battle wins the game. And I expect this to be a pretty close game for the Gators. Moving on now to Kentucky. There's not going to be a secret here with the first one. They have to quit turning the ball over. They have fumbled the ball 15 times this season. that I'm sure is leading the NCAA. They didn't lose all 15, but they have put it on the ground 15 times. I mentioned Will Levis has 5 interceptions. That's a total of 20 potential turnovers. They are right now last in the country at a -9 turnover differential. That is not going to win this game. If Kentucky wants to stay in it and stay close, they're going to have to either win the turnover battle or be even with it. They cannot go negative in the turnover battle to Florida. I'm sure they've harped on it all year in practice, but it really is probably the most important thing for Kentucky this week. Next, they're going to have to control the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to do this to eat clock, to protect Will Levis, and to make sure Chris Rodriguez and Cavassier Smoke can run the ball efficiently. Obviously, I said earlier, if you keep Will Levis clean, he's more likely to make accurate, smart reads down the field. If they get pressure on him and he starts getting knocked around, that's when he's going to make mistakes, which could end up costing you this game. Next is they have to keep both of Florida's quarterbacks in front of them. Like I said, I'm not too awful worried for Kentucky to get beat through the air. I don't believe Emory Jones or Richardson are those type of quarterbacks, but what they can do is beat you with their feet. Emory Jones rushed for 144 yards last week. The question for Florida right now is Richardson is coming off a hamstring injury. He is expected to play. They said that they held him out for the Tennessee game last week. That way he would for sure be healthy this week. So I expect to see a healthy dose of both of them. Obviously, Richardson being the more mobile running quarterback, while Emory Jones is more of the pocket passer. However, they both do tend to leave the pocket just a little early, and it's going to be up to the DNs and J.J. Weaver and Josh Paschal to contain those quarterbacks, keep them in front of you, and make them beat you through the air, because I don't really think they can. Next, they have to limit drive-killing penalties. This has been a problem all season. Right now, UK is averaging 50 yards in penalties a game and about 5.5 penalties a game. So you're averaging about 10 yards per penalty, and you're getting them at key moments in the game when you should be driving to score, but instead you end up punting the ball. They're going to have to keep that number really, really low. This is not a game you can afford to go out and beat yourself. And finally, for Kentucky, make this thing a dogfight. An ugly win is a good win when you're playing Florida, when you're playing a team that is supposed to be better than you. Make it ugly, make them hurt, make them know the next day that they played somebody, and if you can keep it close in the fourth quarter, who knows what happens, guys. That is what Kentucky is going to be aiming to do this week. Now we're going to go ahead and hop into some gambling stuff here. The spread, the money line, over-under. Another quick reminder, negative is the favorite, positive is the underdog. Negative, you have to bet that much money to win 100, and positive, you have to bet 100 to win that much. So, starting out with the spread, right now, Florida is an 8.5-point favorite, and the money line on both of these is the same, the -110. So that's basically telling you that Vegas thinks it is just as likely for Kentucky to cover this spread as it is Florida. Florida played Bama close a couple of weeks ago. If they didn't do that and they lost by 2 touchdowns or so, this is probably a 3 or 4 point game. But since they played Alabama so close, it went way up. I think that is going to lead me to bet Kentucky to cover the spread. I know Florida is a good team, but 8.5's a lot for a good team at home against really anybody just about. And again, if Kentucky can control clock and keep it a relatively low-scoring game, that is going to lend to Kentucky covering that 8.5. Next is the money line, who wins, who loses. I hate to say it, but I think Florida probably wins this game 6 or 7 out of 10 times, so I'm going to lean Florida. This is a game where if Florida does win, you're not making hardly any money on it. However, if Kentucky does pull the upset, and you truly believe that's going to happen, and you're willing to put that money out there, you can win quite a bit of money with a plus 265. And finally, the over-under is set at 55.5 right now, with the under being the favorite. I am going to take the under unless Kentucky's offense really gets going here soon. And like I mentioned, if it's a dogfight, it's probably going to be a lower scoring game. If it hits the over, there's probably a good chance Kentucky loses. So I'm going to go with the under 55.5 points for this game. And finally, guys, my prediction, I'm going to have UK 24, Florida 27, losing by 3 at home. Now, I would not by any stretch of the imagination call this an upset if it goes the other way, if Kentucky does end up winning. But I think they have a better chance to beat LSU than they do Florida. So I think Kentucky has every opportunity in the world to win it, but I'm taking Florida right now. I bet with my wallet, not my heart. So finally, guys, that is it for the video. Be sure to stay tuned after the game for my game day vlog that's going to come out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and as always, go Cats.